Yes, you can hear me too. So I try to tell you all the time when you walk around stamping.
You're listening to Night Dreams Radio with Gary Anderson.
Hey, that is me. I hope everybody's having a great day. I hope everybody's staying out of trouble. And what can I say but the weather up here in the Seattle-Tacoma area is sucking like you wouldn't believe. Now, and you can't believe anything I'm going to tell you because, you know, they keep saying everything on the news and on the radio and TV is fake. So I guess you don't want to believe what I'm saying, but Coinbase is in trouble right now that it seems like they've been overcharging some of its users and emptying their bank accounts. But don't worry, guys, if you are involved with it because it's all fake. It's never happened. So, hey, that's a little bit of fake news. And the other thing is really interesting. NASA has reported a massive asteroid is going to come very close to Earth in March. They said this asteroid is super big. It's not just Greyhound size. This sucker is like the tallest, equal to the tallest building in the world. But don't worry, again, that's fake news. What can I say? Hey, tonight we got one cool guest. You know, you kind of maybe wonder what happens when you die and you get reincarnated and all that stuff. Well, we have Chris Lee is going to be explaining all that here just in a matter of seconds. So, hey, why don't you go get yourself a cup of Java, get yourself a nice blanket, find some place to curl up, maybe buy even a fire, and let's listen to the show tonight and, well, be part of it. You're listening to Night Dreams Talk Radio, and are you there, Chris?
Yes, I am. How are you doing, Gary?
Oh, I'm doing really good. Let's see, I make sure my audio is working with you again. It seems like every night it's one thing or another thing. So, okay, it should be working fine now.
Okay?
I hear you great. How's the weather where you're at right now?
Well, it was kind of cool today. It was only about 84 Fahrenheit.
84. That is cool. You know what?
Sunny, yeah.
For me, I'd be taking my shirt off and I'd be sweating and I'd, be drinking a nice cool beer and say, "Oh God, it's so hot, I can't take it."
Yeah. Well, it's winter down here, but yeah, I've been wearing my shorts and T-shirts all since we got here in December. It's just down here for the winter because up, like I'm from Canada, and it's a little bit cooler than even where you are.
Yeah.
And if you can avoid it, why not?
So how are they treating Americans nowadays, where you're at?
Down here?
Yeah.
It seems any different. Like, it's a lot of what they call expats. We've met hundreds and hundreds of what they call gringos, Americans and Canadians down here. More Canadians than Americans because we got more colder weather that we're trying to avoid.
Uh-huh.
But as long as you try and say some of the words like in Spanish, like cerveza, beer, and then they're happy. Half the time they answer you back in English anyways.
Hey, I could pass. I can say El Taco. That's about it. But, I mean, hey, that's what I learned in 66 years. I say, El Taco, please. Anyway, hey, why don't you tell everybody what you do for a profession? And then we'll get into whatever you want to discuss about it.
Okay. Well, basically, what it is, I have a title. It's quite long. I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, and I specialize in past life regression therapy.
Oh, wow.
Take a breath after that one.
Yeah, that's, yes.
What I do is that I took hypnotherapy training many years ago now. That is not hypnotists. That's people doing silly shows and stuff. It's hypnotherapy where you do help people, but using hypnosis, which is only deep relaxation. There's nothing magical about it. But what happened was, I think my training, it seems like yesterday, but 23 years ago, when I was 3, just kidding. And what it is that I found, like, I wasn't sure about past life. Now, what I do is that I've developed a system, that modality that helps you get rid of aches, pains, fears, phobias, debilitating emotions with no medicine, just using your mind. And what it is you don't even have to believe in past life. You can think it's your imagination. I don't care. The end result is, if you have a pain you've had for 30 years, which happens all the time, and it disappears, but you think you made it all up, who cares? Just a modality.
Uh-huh.
So what I do is I go out and do talks. In fact, I'm doing one actually here in Mexico next week. First time, but it's all gringos, and they have nothing to do, so they come and see me. But I've done my talk in about 5 other countries, and what I learned is that the talk is basically to explain to people what hypnosis isn't, because a lot of people think it's swinging a watch in front of you, which is kind of silly, because how do you relax when you've got your eyes open? And then there's also that loss of control. It's only human nature. We don't want to lose control, do you?
Not too often, actually. I mean, occasionally I would like to, but not often. No.
Yeah. I was actually just checking. I see there's about a 3-second time delay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Well, I think it's
so when there's a blank.
I think it might be because you're on a cell phone. I don't know. That could maybe cause a little bit of a delay.
Skype does the same thing. I think it's more just safeguarding or something. If you say something rude or something, I don't know. So when you hear long blank, that's me waiting for you for your theory answer. But I'll just keep talking. What it is that when people understand from my talk what hypnosis is, and I'll say, has anybody here been hypnotized? And you get people are even afraid to put their hand up in case it happens to them. And all it is that everybody's in hypnosis 5 to 20 times a day, Gary. It's just called deep relaxation.
Uh-huh.
And nothing magical. A good example, I say, does anybody here remember high school? Do you remember high school?
Vaguely. I really don't want to remember high school. I mean, I remember good about junior high and grade school, but I wish you wouldn't have brought up high school. That was a bad subject for me.
Well, what it's leading to is, did you ever have a boring subject and you daydreamed?
Yeah, when I got married.
Yeah. Daydreaming is hypnosis, deep relaxation. All it is that your conscious and your subconscious. It's actually a simple thing. Your conscious is like a processor. It handles your info and pulls it up from the subconscious. The subconscious is very powerful. It's like a computer. It holds details. In fact, in deep relaxation, you can remember a lot of things that you don't remember in the normal. And what it is that your subconscious is really basically bouncing around 3 times faster than the subconscious. So it's like gears. Remember, we tried to drive old standards back in the old days and grind the gears.
Uh-huh.
Didn't match them well. Well, all it is in hypnosis, I just help you slow down. In fact, just to explain something, nobody can hypnotize you. You hypnotize yourself. Nobody forced you to daydream, did they?
Not really, no.
No. Another example of hypnosis is that, have you ever watched TV or read a book so intently you don't hear people talking to you? That's hypnosis.
It is. I never thought about it that way. I mean, how about when you see these guys in Las Vegas and Reno, they take somebody out of the audience and they bring them up on the stage and then they go, whatever they do, and then they're acting like a chicken running around, or they're, telling about their affairs they're having without their spouse knowing, type of thing, what you hear. And
that's what I like to explain to audiences is that after I explain, like when you sleep at night, you're in hypnosis. How much more relaxed can you get? Then to help explain about no loss of control is the biggest thing. What TV doesn't help either, but hypnosis shows. People have to understand that people up on stage volunteered. There's a law against kidnapping or forcing people on stage, and that doesn't happen. The type of people that the hypnotist likes to get up on stage are a very small percentage of the world are like this, somnambulistic, big word, took me a year to pronounce. But anyhow, it's just people that are already in hypnosis anyway, deep relaxation, they like having a bit of fun. When they come on stage, they're even more relaxed, less inhibitions. And they are 100% aware of what they're doing. There is no loss of control. A good example, though, is I say, if you ever watched a hypnotist show, closely, you'll know they always bring up at least 20 people or so. Because during the show, have you ever noticed that they do send one or two off at different times?
Yeah, I've noticed that, yes.
Yeah. Well, here's your logic. I use logic. It scares people. Is that if they're under the hypnotist's control, why does he have to send them off? It's because when they're up on stage, they're acting like 7 or 8 years old or less. So it's not hard to bark like a dog or do those silly things. But kids can get bored. So after a while, they simply say, quietly, thanks for coming up, and send them off, because obviously it's not going to look good if most people are standing up and a couple are still sitting. So
yeah.
no loss of control whatsoever. It's called entertainment. I know it's hard to believe, but TV isn't always the most accurate thing. It's just, make it look better. But the whole thing I explain to people is hypnosis. I can't hypnotize you. I do ask you if I may work with you, and you say, yeah, but if I tell you to relax and you don't feel like it, are you going to relax? It's not really. It's all it is. It's just that while you're relaxing, you can get to your subconscious memory better.
Uh-huh.
Like if you're ever panicking and you can't find your keys, and you got your relatives are still locked in the car, and you're running around looking for your keys. Some people catch that one, and you can't find them. But if you relax and start thinking, what I used to do, just start from the beginning of the day where I was going, and also I remember, and away you go. So it's just deep relaxation.
So it would probably
apparently we had. Sorry.
Oh, I'm saying it probably would have been cheaper for me to see somebody like you this past week when we run 7 computers in our station here, and I changed the passwords here, last week. And I had no problem for a couple of days after I changed all the passwords, and all the computers have the same password. And then I think like on Tuesday, I went to, turn the computers on and get ready for a show. Mm-hmm. Well, later for that day, because I test everything out. I forgot the password. Mm-hmm. And I sat there for 2 hours trying to figure out the password. Finally, I had to lug the computers into a shop that agreed to redo them real quickly for me. So I should have seen somebody like you, and you could have made me remember what I did for the password.
Well, I've had people come to me that they couldn't remember their combination to a padlock, the little type. And under deep relaxation, it pops up. It's just like, in fact, in police departments, I was a cop for years, many centuries ago, but quite often, especially bingo people play bingo, they can remember numbers better. But license plates, what would happen is that if you've seen a license plate in a split second, it is in your subconscious. You just don't pay attention, so it's not that important.
Uh-huh.
But in deep relaxation or hypnosis, yes, you can remember that plate number quite accurately. A lot of things like that. So that's what I do. And what happens is that you don't have to believe it, as I said, but apparently we've had past lives. Just what's your thought? Do you believe in it, or you're not sure, or you don't believe it?
Well, I do think there's something. I mean, you just kind of really shot me down when you mentioned basically what you're saying, that what you see on TV or on stage sounds like it's not real.
It's entertainment. The people up there, remember, they're already kind of people that kind of relax easily. But if you're acting, see what happens is when you're on the age of 7 or 8, your conscious, subconscious separates. You're born with them together. That's why kids can see imaginary friends or are good at making up stuff. But when you get around 7 or 8, your conscious starts speeding up, then you start, maturing and learning stuff, etc. So when they're on stage acting 7 or 8 or younger, whatever, they're there. It's just not hard for them to pretend they're, playing musical instruments, that kind of stuff. They're just having fun. But again, we do get bored, and that's why we do send them off. But it's just entertainment.
Yeah.
Because if you think of the logic, like headlines in the newspaper, wow, 6 more banks robbed by hypnotists. They made me give you the money. Well, hello, it doesn't happen that way. Yeah. Besides that, if you get afraid of looking at a hypnotist in the eyes, which I've heard